Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ron Ringo, and this is AEB News. From around the world, we look to be your eye on the world. Today in Japan, Japan's Prime Minister pins North Korea and trade hopes on Trump's whims. As every Japanese knows, when you travel abroad, you must bring home some omiyage, or souvenirs. But the Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's first day visiting President Trump at the Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, the Japanese public is wondering whether their leader, embattled at home by influences pending scandals, might return home to Japan with a diplomatic equivalent of, all I got was the t-shirt. When Mr. Trump and Mr. Abe appeared before reporters in Palm Beach on Tuesday, the American president declared that Japan and ourselves are locked, and we are very unified on the subject of North Korea, and that Japan and the United States have never been closer than we are right now. Unpacking the U.S. decision to engage with North Korea, what it entails and what it could achieve, a third way in a report published last January in the 38th North, unpacking a U.S. decision to use force against North Korea. Issues, options, and consequences, Robert Jervis assesses the efficiency of using force against North Korea. Jervis cautions against assuming that the superior U.S. and economic capabilities guarantee success in denuclearizing the North. He also underscores that uncertainties attend to even the limited use of force. Actors beyond the United States, North Korea binary, will influence outcomes and how North Korea itself will respond to unpredictable. It would be a mistake, Jervis observes, that attribute to the failure only to a lack of American willingness to be tougher. Back home in Sandy Hook, parents sue radio host Alex Jones for defamation. 3 parents whose young children were killed in a school shooting in 2012 have sued right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones for defamation. Mr. Jones has long claimed on his radio show and on InfoWars website that the Sandy Hook Elementary School attack was completely fake and a giant hoax. 20 children, all under the age of 7, and 6 adults were killed. Mr. Jones has implied that the parents are actors, seeking to undermine laws allowing private gun ownership. Leonard Posner and Veronica de la Russa, whose son, Noah Posner, was one of those killed by a gunman, filed their lawsuit in Travis County, Texas, where Mr. Jones lives and works. And then you probably heard the Southwest Airlines jet engine explosion leaves 1 woman dead. A woman who was partially sucked out of the window of a U.S. passenger plane after an engine exploded in mid-air has died. Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 made an emergency landing in Philadelphia after a window, wings, and fuselage were damaged. 7 passengers were injured. Initial findings say an engine fan blade was missing. In a recording, one of the pilots can be heard saying, "There is a hole and someone went out." The last passenger death on U.S. commercial flights was in 2009. It also has been reported that this is the first in-air flight death of a passenger by Southwest Airlines. Mike Pompeo, CIA chief, made a secret trip to North Korea. CIA Director Mike Pompeo traveled to Pyongyang and for a secret meeting in North Korea with North Korea leader Kim Jong-un. U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed. A good relationship was formed at the meeting last week. Mr. Trump tweeted this on Wednesday. News of a visit first emerged on Tuesday. U.S. officials were quoted as saying the aim was to prepare a summit between Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim. Mr. Trump had earlier alluded to a high-level direct talks with Pyongyang. But the unexpected and clandestine meeting marks the highest level of U.S. contact with North Korea since 2000. We have had direct talks at extremely high levels, Mr. Trump said from Florida, where he is hosting Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The president added that he gave his blessing for talks between South and North Korea to discuss a peace treaty to formally end the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. In Sweden, Sweden's deadly problem with hand grenades. Daniel Kaves Zuniga was cycling home from a night shift in southern Stockholm in January when he stopped to pick up an object on the path. Police believe the 63-year-old, who worked at an elderly person's home, thought the device was a toy, but it was a hand grenade, which exploded as he touched it and killed him almost immediately. His wife, Juana, who was riding ahead of him near Verbi railroad station, was knocked to the ground by the blast. And then again, back home, former First Lady Barbara Bush dies at 92. Mrs. Bush, the former First Lady and literacy campaigner, has died at her home at the age of 92. She was the matriarchal figure of a political dynasty that included two presidents. Her husband, George H.W. Bush, and her son, George W. Bush. Mrs. Bush was the First Lady from 1989 to 1993, had been in failing health for some time now, and had declined further medical treatment. Tributes to her poured in from all across the political U.S. spectrum and establishment. Her husband, at 93, is the longest living U.S. president. And their son, George, was elected in 2000 and served 2 terms as the nation's 43rd president. Throughout the world, we look forward to bringing you the news and top stories of the day. At AEB, we look to be your eye on the world. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you with us on our next program.